Chapter 108, Zootuous Condition 1. Let's go to the teacher's office upstairs. That place has the highest level of high-frequency sensory lasers. It also has an exclusive communication channel with the supercomputer of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College, the Shenong. Luo Shifeng, who had just turned to leave, quickly walked toward Zutui. Zutui did not say anything more about Professor Luo Shifeng's reaction. He only nodded and followed him. Professor Luo's actions meant that he believed Zutui. The students who were standing guard around Zutui were all shocked. After hearing a few words, the students suddenly realized that the student who had taken away Professor Luo's reward just by sleeping during the previous lesson seemed to be too far away from them. Had he reached a point where he could fool Professor Luo into doing research with him? Of course, many students were curious as to whether or not he was bluffing. Zutui was brought into the teacher's office by Luo Shifeng. He attracted a little attention and all kinds of thoughts in the large classroom of 1,500 students. However, the commotion did not last long. It did not even last a minute. There was no doubt about the ability and habits of the students who managed to enter the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. Otherwise, they would not have been able to enter the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. Here, yes, here, I want to test your reaction speed again. I want to test it 3 times in a row for accuracy. You can only start your verification after that. Do you have any problems? Luo Shifeng asked. No problem. If you can wait, Professor Luo, I would like to train for an hour before attempting to activate the next genetic base point relating to reaction speed. The genetic base points that I obtained from my previous reaction speed are still a little short of the limit. Of course, I also wanted to more accurately sense the completely new reaction-type genetic base points, Zutui said. No problem. Continue training for an hour to obtain an average reaction speed. That would be more accurate and have more scientific meaning. Luo Shifeng had already entered a state of scientific research from his teaching state. The first characteristic of a professor when they entered a state of scientific research was that they had to be rigorous. All right, I'll begin then. Zutui did not say anything more. He immediately activated the high-level laser array transmitter in Luo Shifeng's teacher's office. They had used 4 laser array launchers during the training just now. However, Luo Shifeng was using 24 mixed laser array launchers of different lengths. As soon as it was activated, Zutui realized that the high-frequency sensory lasers emitted by the 24-headed hybrid laser array were even more disorganized and strange. Even their speed was not fixed. Zutui made several mistakes in a row. It caused the reaction speed he obtained from the first test to drop to 53 milliseconds. However, Zutui quickly adapted to the speed after his first training. The reaction speed of his second training returned to 49 milliseconds. Outside the window, Luo Shifeng looked at the notifications coming from the training equipment in his teacher's office through his communication device. He then read through Zutui's training records from last week's lesson and started comparing them one by one. He wanted to see if there was any possibility that the student was faking it. 30 minutes later, Zutui's reaction speed had increased to 48 milliseconds in the teacher's office. Luo Shifeng also confirmed one thing. The reaction speed of this student should be real. There was no possibility of him faking it. The possibility of him fooling the supercomputer Shenong 10 times in a row was too slim. Of course, anyone who could fool him would definitely be a genius. In the teacher's office, Zutui, who was constantly undergoing training, entered the illusory introspective state from time to time. He once again searched for and confirmed the 2 genetic base points related to reaction speed that he had just discovered. In the 100 years of the Great Genetic Era, there were thousands of genetic base points that were newly discovered and researched into specific abilities. However, there were also many scholars and professors who died or crippled due to their research. Research represented the unknown. The unknown was often associated with danger. Thus, after being administered with the nerve acceleration elixir today, Zutui had to once again confirm and analyze the 2 new genetic base points he discovered that were related to reaction speed. After all, he was experimenting on himself by initiating the research. The reason Zutui chose to cooperate with Professor Luo Shifeng was based on another important goal. The genetic committee had a universal requirement for the determination of the results of all of their genetic base points. Reproducibility of individuals. One would not be able to conclude that their research on the genetic base point that activated this ability type was fruitful. Other individuals have to obtain the results of your research and successfully reproduce the results before they can be recognized. It was not difficult for Zutun to activate this new reaction type genetic base points himself. What was difficult was how to use a scientific method to come up with a method that would allow others to find and activate these genetic base points. That method would be regarded as a scientific achievement. That was the difficult part. Zutui had no experience in that regard. He had no experience at all. Thus, he had to obtain Professor Luo Shifeng's help. Another 30 minutes passed. Zutui's reaction speed remained at 48 milliseconds. It had not increased at all. He felt that the speed at which the previous genetic base points he activated increased. His reflexes had almost reached their limits. He could activate the next one. Professor Luo Shifeng entered the teacher's office after he sensed that Zutui glanced at him.